Invaders in our whiteworm cultures. All right. Keeping invaders out of our whiteworm cultures is nearly impossible. A whiteworm culture is just too organically rich, and these invaders are microscopic in size, or at least start that way. So keeping them completely out is nearly impossible, I've found. But I have a very easy solution. It takes 10 seconds a month. And what we actually do is mitigate the problem, all right? So I'm going to share with you here the technique I use, and I'll give you a few others, all right? So let me show you my technique. And again, I want to stress this is not as big of an issue as it's made out to be, this mite issue. Most mites, or I should say most invaders in our whiteworm cultures, are more interested in whiteworms that have recently perished, perished naturally, worm poop, or whatever is going on in there. So again, they're really usually not even interested in the live worms. So many of these creatures are kind of doing us a favor, but how do we keep this problem, or these invaders from becoming a problem? This is the solution I use. All right. I just put a culture under light, tap it for a little bit. The worms will bury themselves. Then I just remove the top layer of soil. Right, so all the invaders are sitting on that soil, and the worms have further buried themselves in the medium. And then I just take that mite-ridden material off, which is almost all just medium, right? Preserved most of the worms. And then I can just set this medium somewhere, and these invaders will just crawl out of it. Then I can actually just dump it back in. And that's the technique I use, all right? So when I have a culture that, needs some help, like I said, I just put it under some light and tap it a little bit. Worms will bury themselves, and I'll just scrape off that top layer of medium. And I mean, it's almost mite-free at that point, all right? Again, takes 10 seconds a month. Not a big deal. Another way you can take care of this problem, and again, some of these invaders, they're all different, right? They behave differently. So some of these techniques work better than others. Another technique that I like to use is, all right, so, this culture has a mite problem, say. So if I just fill it right to the edge, right? These mites, invaders, whatever they are likely then to just crawl out of the culture. And as long as it's fed, as long as there's some food in here, the worms won't leave the culture. If they need a little more incentive, you can just put some sort of wick in your culture like this. And, most of these invaders want to crawl down, and they'll crawl down this wick and out of your culture completely. All right. And some of these techniques too, I have completely eliminated some organisms from my culture, but like I said, they just keep making their way in there. And these are just simple little, a few seconds a month solutions. And like I said, they can have different behaviors, these organisms. So sometimes if you just I find make a little pit or something, they'll fall into it, and then you can just scoop them out, right? And again, mitigating the problem. So you're pretty much eliminating most of them. Another thing you can do is submerge your culture. So you can fill it to the very top with water, and whiteworms are nearly semi-aquatic, so water does not bother them. And then you just wait a period of time for everything in there to die. Then if you have a little plug on the bottom, a little hole, you can just take the plug and then let the water drain back out, and it helps clean the medium, and obviously drowns everything in there except the whiteworms, which love water. One crazy thing I did, I used a blowtorch. I had a little handheld blowtorch, and did the same thing. I just tapped on my culture so the worms buried themselves a little further. Then I just went over it with my flame and worked wonders. So, point in this video is you're not going to keep these invaders out. They're too small in size, but it's really easy to just mitigate them, to nearly eliminate them by, using the technique I showed you where I just removed the top layer of medium and they're pretty much all gone. All right, very easy solutions for this problem.